Welcome to Thriller Vault. Tonight I have the creepy true story of Dr. Doreen Littlefield. This story is sourced from The Sociopath Next Door by Dr. Martha Stout, one of my favorite books of all time. Quick disclaimer, I have edited, paraphrased, and altered this information to make this into a story. Some minor details may be speculation and or fiction, but the main details are true according to Martha Stout's book. Here is Dr. Jealousy. Dr. Doreen Littlefield parked her BMW in the hospital parking lot, right next to Jenna's old two-tone Ford Escort. The cars displayed a perfect representation of their disparate wealth and standing at the hospital. Jenna was young and beautiful, and Doreen felt it was her duty to take Jenna down a peg or two. Doreen checked her makeup in the rearview mirror. She was pretty, but not beautiful. Even with her high-end cosmetics, expensive clothes, and recent trip to her hairstylist, this was as pretty as she'd ever be. She was 34, her face still wrinkle-free, but she knew that wouldn't last for too much longer. If you took away the hair and makeup, she'd be a plain Jane with dull, frizzy hair. Despite this, she was quite seductive and had a good body. She knew how to attract attention from men. When she walked into a room, heads turned. She exited her car and walked toward the psychiatric hospital. It was then that she remembered that she forgot to feed her dog. Oh well, the stupid dog will just have to wait until I get home to eat. The dog, a Maltese, was an impulse purchase. She thought she'd look hot walking him around the neighborhood, but it's just been a huge hassle. When I get a chance, I'll sell it or put it to sleep or something. Inside the hospital, Doreen smiled at the dumpy receptionist. Ivy gushed about Doreen's beautiful suit and figure. Doreen entertained the adulation, always happy to placate the little people. You never know when you might need them. After chit-chatting with Ivy, Doreen went to her office. From her window, she watched the parking lot and her co-workers arriving. She spotted Dr. Jackie Rubenstein strutting toward the hospital with her toned and tan legs. Jackie was an LA native with beautiful olive skin that made her look like she had just come from the beach. In addition to her beauty, Jackie was very intelligent, much smarter than Doreen. Since they were the same age, 34, and held similar positions as psychologists, Doreen constantly compared herself to Jackie, and it was maddening. Doreen could never measure up, especially to Jackie's intelligence. It was this fact that made Doreen absolutely loathe Jackie. In fact, if Doreen could have gotten away with it, she would have murdered Jackie. Ivy buzzed Doreen, letting her know that her first patient of the day was ready for her. Doreen opened her office door and beckoned Dennis into her office from the waiting room. Dennis was a VIP, or very important patient, the nephew of a famous politician. Technically, Dennis was not a psychotherapy patient of Doreen's. Doreen was Dennis's administrator, which meant that Doreen met with Dennis to ask him about his treatment, to check his paperwork, and to approve or deny discharge from the hospital. Dennis's therapist was Dr. Jackie Rubenstein. Dennis practically worshipped Jackie, as she had gained his trust and had made great strides in treating his paranoid schizophrenia. Just yesterday, Jackie had told Doreen that Dennis had greatly improved, and she thought he was ready to be discharged and treated as an outpatient. Dennis sat across from Doreen at her desk. The 26-year-old was quite handsome, with deep blue eyes and broad shoulders. Doreen figured he had plenty of money coming to him with an inheritance. Then she remembered that she had another motive for manipulating Dennis. "I hear you're feeling better," Doreen said. "I've been doing a lot better," Dennis replied. "Really a lot better. My ideas aren't bothering me like they were when I came in." "Why do you think that is?" "Well, Dr. Rubenstein has been working with me with cognitive therapy. I think that's been helping. Dr. Rubenstein thinks I'm ready to be discharged. She wants to see me as an outpatient." "Really? That's not what she told me." Dennis shook, his face pained. What do you mean?" Dennis was once a healthy teenager, the star of his high school lacrosse team. Then he went to college and had a psychotic breakdown. Since then, he had been in and out of psychiatric facilities, suffering from paranoid delusions or his ideas. When he suffered from his delusions, he thought people were lying to him and trying to kill him. He He thought the streetlights recorded his thoughts for the CIA, and every car he saw might contain an agent who was sent to arrest him for crimes he couldn't recall. His sense of reality was quite fragile. It was a miracle and a testament to Dr. Jackie Rubenstein's skill as a therapist that she was able to build trust with Dennis. In an effort to sabotage this relationship, Doreen said, "Dr. Rubenstein told me that you were sicker than when you came in. As for outpatient care, she made it clear she'd never see you outside of the hospital. She said you were far too dangerous." Dennis sat, catatonic. "Are you okay, Dennis?" Doreen asked. But Dennis didn't answer. Doreen called for assistance, citing that she had a patient that needed to be boarded. 2 muscular health workers removed Dennis from Doreen's office. Boarded meant that Dennis would be sent to a locked ward in the hospital and detained against his will. Doreen knew how to manipulate a paranoid schizophrenic. She wasn't worried about Dennis revealing her manipulation. Dennis was paranoid. He didn't reveal much, especially to people he didn't trust, and even if he did, nobody would believe a paranoid schizophrenic over a doctor. Doreen smiled to herself, thinking about how Dennis would never trust Jackie again. Little Miss Dr. Perfect. Ha! Jackie will lose a VIP patient, and the idiot will blame herself and hand Dennis over to another therapist. So much for Dr. Jackie Miracle Worker. For the rest of the day, Doreen went about her business without an ounce of guilt, seeing patients, enjoying her lunch, and attending a staff meeting, as if nothing untoward had happened that morning. At the end of the workday, Doreen chatted with her receptionist, Ivy. Doreen plastered on a smile as Ivy droned on, her fat neck jiggling as she talked. Doreen stared at Ivy's ugly plastic earrings so she didn't have to look at her ugly fat face. Doreen made sure to casually mention how overworked she was, to which Ivy gushed about how Doreen worked too hard and how devoted she was to her patients. Pathetic people were at least useful for compliments, sympathy, and making beautiful people like Doreen feel a little better about themselves. When Ivy asked about Doreen's Maltese dog, Doreen replied, "He's so cute, I could just eat him up." But Doreen was thinking about dropping the annoying dog at the pound. Doreen said goodbye to her loyal receptionist and headed for the hospital parking lot. As she reached her car, she spotted Jenna not far behind, headed for her crappy Ford Escort, which was parked next to Doreen's BMW. Doreen narrowed her eyes at Jenna. She wore a pencil skirt that highlighted her flat stomach and toned calves. Her wavy blonde hair still looked perfect after a hard day's work. Jenna was a receptionist for Dr. Larson, who was a stern older man. "Going home already?" Doreen asked as Jenna arrived at her car. Jenna furrowed her brow, no doubt reading into Doreen's loaded comment. I'm off at 5. What about the emergency conference at Chatwin Hall?" Jenna sucked in a sharp breath and touched her chest. Nobody told me about that. When is it?" Doreen glanced at her designer watch. "It started about 10 minutes ago." "Oh my God, I should go." Jenna ran toward Chatwin Hall, her heels scuffing the asphalt and her formerly perfect hair blowing about. Doreen laughed to herself, reflecting on the fact that Chatwin Hall was on the other end of the campus. There was no emergency conference, of course. After Doreen manipulated Dennis, predictably, Dennis refused to talk to Dr. Jackie Rubenstein. But Doreen underestimated Jackie's persistence and genuine care for her patients. For several days, Jackie tried to talk to Dennis, but he wouldn't talk. On the 4th day, Jackie tried one more time, and Dennis finally told Jackie everything that Doreen had said to him. And Jackie actually believed Dennis. Jackie called Doreen that night and confronted her, but Doreen denied everything, accusing Jackie of being drawn into Dennis's delusions. But Jackie didn't believe Doreen. So Doreen said, "If you even think about slandering me with this, your career is over." Despite Doreen's threat, the next morning Jackie went to the supervisor of the unit and reported Doreen. The supervisor's face reddened at the mention of Doreen, even though he didn't seem angry. Jackie wondered if Doreen had an affair with the supervisor. The supervisor listened to Jackie, but he ultimately said, "I seriously doubt Dennis is telling the truth about Dr. Littlefield. I hope you and Dr. Littlefield can get past this rift. Otherwise, it will be very bad for the unit. As usual, Doreen got away with her treachery. On the bright side, Dennis was treated successfully by Jackie and released from the hospital. 6 years later, a woman we'll call Edith struggled with depression. She was married to Larry, a consumer advocate and investigator who appeared on a local television show called Buyer Beware. Edith was assigned to Doreen as her therapist, but Doreen didn't help Edith. According to Larry, Edith and their marriage worsened with Doreen's so-called therapy. Given Larry's occupation as an investigator, he investigated Doreen, and he found that Doreen wasn't a licensed psychologist or therapist. Larry demanded that he receive a full refund for his wife's therapy and that Doreen be fired immediately, or he would expose the hospital on his television show. Fearing the bad press, the hospital fired Doreen on her 40th birthday. Doreen denied that she was practicing medicine without a license and threatened to sue the hospital, but she ultimately left, never to be heard from again. Those who worked with Doreen believe she simply went to another state and is likely practicing psychology at another hospital. According to personality theorist Theodore Millon, Doreen Littlefield is a covetous psychopath. A covetous psychopath desires the positive traits of others, but since the positive traits of others such as beauty, intelligence, success, and charisma aren't things that can be stolen, a covetous psychopath seeks to damage or destroy those qualities, so if the psychopath can't have those traits, nobody can. The pleasure for the psychopath is in the destruction of the person and their wonderful traits. Doreen will likely never go to prison, even though her evil actions will cause detrimental consequences to the lives of everyone she encounters. For many of these people, they won't even know that Doreen did something to them. For the sociopath, life is a game, and you're just a pawn to manipulate. These people plot and scheme and destroy. You pick up the pieces and wonder, what the heck happened? Thank you so much for watching and listening to Thriller Vault. If you enjoyed this story, please like, share, and subscribe. I hope to see you all next week for another thriller story.